Hey Wayne, how are you?
Great, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're live right now, and we're excited to speak with you today. And you guys had another strong day today. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a great couple days.
Yeah, and you guys have lots of big news. Let's talk a little bit about TraceSafe's strategic focus on enterprises with over 1,000 employees. How big is the market opportunity, and what regions do you see the most demand? Asia, Europe, or North America?
Well, I think if you think about our sort of pandemic focus, just in the near term and where things are moving, it seems like the Asia region is a little bit further ahead um, in general. And so we've been seeing a lot of pickup. We did a tier one semiconductor manufacturer that has operations all over the world, but that supply chain primarily centered in the Asia region. And that was a big story around making sure that the employees in various regions can move around and between different manufacturing facilities. And I think there's the story around having more than 1,000 employees means you typically are spread out geographically. You probably have to comply with multiple different health standards and need to be complying with the highest health standards as a general rule. Now, they also tend to have budget around solving these problems, and um, that can lead into the next phase of our growth, which is going to be after we've deployed wearables into these environments. What are the solution verticals we can start going after that will make those wearables sticky in the future, and what kind of products can we build around those?
I love what you guys are doing. It's really exciting. And it seems as though you guys have just huge news coming out consistently with huge partnerships, huge clients. And I was talking to a friend of mine that was predicting that you guys were going to be coming to Canada. Now, I'm not sure you can say anything about it, but the government of Canada was saying that they're looking to do contact tracing. They want to do better,
Mhm.
more effective contact tracing. Right away, TraceSafe came to mind, and I'm sitting here thinking, wow, that'd be pretty wild if you had a government contract with the Canadian government. And obviously, you probably can't speak on that until it's public, but is that the type of thing you're working on, these types of government contracts? Because when I see these types of deals with 1,000 employees, that tells me you guys are going after only huge businesses. You're going after the biggest companies. You don't want to focus on the smaller businesses. That's exciting for an investor when you think about the scalability of TraceSafe. It's pretty wild what you guys are working on here.
Yeah, I mean, really, we've been working on, we've taken a lot of these pilot projects that have been happening in the background for many months, and really working on scaling those up. Um, the, just in the last little bit, we saw the Canadian government went a different direction as far as policy, having a mandatory hotel quarantine. Our solution has worked really well in other jurisdictions where they, didn't necessarily do the hotel quarantine, but they wanted to make sure that it was hotel-like. So in the event that the Canadian, government, makes a policy shift or sort of offers alternatives, we would be, I think, the number one consideration given the number of countries that we've been working in thus far.
That's what I was thinking, because when I heard that they were going in that direction, the only company that came to mind was TraceSafe, and I thought, wow, how many other governments are thinking about this, and what other options are out there? I don't see any better options than TraceSafe. And I have another question for you. TraceSafe has a number of pilot programs for different customers. When do you see these scaling up?
We see a lot of these programs maturing in actually more interesting ways than we imagined. So one of the things that we're seeing is that you land in a pilot project as a contact tracing or a very simple one-dimensional solution, and once you get the product there, it sort of becomes apparent that the product might be useful where they thought it was only useful for column A, you see that column B, C, D, and E, are areas that we might also be able to make a big impact in. So what we're seeing is, pilot projects are not just leading to orders, but they're also leading to broader technology discussions. Over and over, we're seeing that be the case, is that, there's a solution where you think you need a wearable for, a very small problem set, but actually the applicability is very wide, and the benefit is really great. They see it solving a lot more problems. So the same investment, that they would be making to solve one problem, they can make that investment and solve many, many problems. And for us, it makes a lot more sense because we get to participate from a software revenue perspective for a lot longer in those situations. So broadening, so we see that the pilot programs themselves are maturing, and they're all maturing. We're starting to release the news about those programs, and the mandates are becoming a lot broader.
Wayne, can you talk about how TraceSafe's growing scale as a platform and how it plans to monetize its users in the future?
Yeah, so the scale is really our major advantage, and having done this, since it was really a medtech focused company, I think how we plan to monetize in the future. We've talked a lot about our mix of revenue, and the fact that especially early days, when we were servicing just those government clients, there's a lot of hardware revenue in the mix, and so it was basically 80% hardware and 20% software. And as we move forward, more of that revenue and more of those monetization opportunities are emerging as software opportunities. So that means, whether it's, just how the customer wants to be billed, or whether it's building custom solutions, it's really becoming a software and SaaS focused business. And so we're getting towards, on a lot of our contracts, we're getting towards more of a 50-50 revenue split there. And as we kind of, as the opportunity set widens up as far as what we can do with the technology, and that means, connecting with assets on the sites, connecting kind of different feature sets that the customer's looking for, those become billable software opportunities.
Wayne, how does TraceSafe differentiate itself from competitors? And what's your competitive advantage?
I think the main competitive advantage is this company has products that work. The engineering is done right at a silicon level. All the embedded systems and everything. The product is much more efficient, on average than competitive products, and so it tends to manifest itself in just a lighter, you have a more efficient product, you need a smaller battery to do the same thing, you have a lighter, better feeling product. So that means we can build the product into different form factors that kind of become invisible to the user. So that's really what it is. It's our products are more tightly integrated. The software, the hardware, and everything else is very tightly integrated. It's much more efficient. Battery life is much longer, and it results in actually a better wearable. If there's one watch and it's very, very heavy, and there's one watch that's sort of light as a feather, you're going to prefer the one that's a little bit lighter, especially if it's in an enterprise environment. It's in a workplace environment where those things matter. So that's our competitive advantage. I think the other competitive advantage is our ability to scale horizontally. So a company like where we're deploying 60,000 wearables, our systems can handle that sort of thing, where a lot of these contact tracing companies that are just kind of born out of the need for contact tracing specifically, they don't have the scalability and systems to kind of bring that up to that level.
I'm a huge sports fan. I love what you guys are doing with sports. 2020 was one of the most disturbing years of my life, watching sport after sport be canceled. And just like, even now, watching sports with no fans is just weird. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter if it's UFC, it doesn't matter if it's Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL. It's not the same. Okay. And 2020 had a lot of sports get canceled because of this COVID. How does 2021 look different thanks to TraceSafe and what you're bringing to the table and how you're helping sports venues? How are you guys making the difference? Because now we see NHL is ongoing, NBA is ongoing, UFC is ongoing, and they don't plan to shut down again. They just want to continue to move forward. How are you guys helping
Mhm.
that?
Yeah, so we're working on a number of initiatives around kind of these mass gathering sporting events and figuring out how to bring in systems that scale up and get people back into the stadiums. So I think that the conversations that we're hearing from these sport organizations, stadium owners, and health offices is that they want to get kind of the season's ticket holders back in, and you're seeing that a little bit in a few stadiums. And so we're slowly building systems that can kind of get that number there. Then you're on a plateau, and you can understand how that's interacting and working well, and then you can kind of move to the next plateau. And so we want to be able to show that we're able to bring fans in back into the stadium at varying levels of increasing density in a safe manner, and put systems in place that enable that. And I think also at the same time, what you want to do is you want to elevate the fan experience, and that's really what you can accomplish with a wearable. Is that it's not like the idea is not to get people into a stadium wearing some sort of safety thing, like they feel like they're going to be on a boat wearing a life jacket or something like that. Like, we don't want something that's going to damper the fan experience. We want something that's going to enhance it. And wearables, are a major way to enhance an experience, whether that's seamless payments inside of a venue, whether it's different VIP experiences and access. There's lots of ways to do that, and we're working with these venue owners, these sports teams, concerts, etc., to make that happen and really elevate the experience.
That would be pretty cool. Like, would you? I'm a huge Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Would you have like a wearable with like the Toronto Maple Leafs logo on it or something, so that
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
people would feel like an affinity to it? Oh yeah, look, I got my wearable, my TraceSafe Maple Leafs logo on my wrist. Little things like that go a long way with the customers.
That's exactly right. I mean, and people, the same way people wear jerseys and everything like that, and there's difference between, certain jerseys that only a fan can tell the difference, right?
That's right.
The true fans. And so, the same thing is going to be true with the wearables. We see that as a great thing. All premier facilities, I think, will really embrace this. This is something that you see more at the high end. Disneyland was famous for introducing the Magic Band a few years back. And that was something that really was like a VIP experience. You go in, you get the Magic Band. It's something that gives you priority access on the rides. It interacts with the food and beverage services. It really kind of enhances your park experience, and it's like another level above. And we see that the same thing with the venues we're talking to. It's really about a premium fan experience, and bringing that. And really, you have to start with the core sort of safety and commercial considerations, which we're doing, and then you build on top of that. And it's the same in the enterprise world. You start with these core commercial considerations of business continuity, keeping the operations going and keeping people feeling safe, and then you build additional services on top of that. So that's really the whole story is starting. That you have this pandemic, it's a major catalyst, and then it's the next chapters that you write after that.
I have a question from the audience. A lot of promise in the healthcare area with diabetes on the rise. How will TraceSafe capitalize on these problems, if at all?
Well, it's interesting. In the healthcare sector, we're seeing a whole different segment of problem emerge, which is that hospitals can become really crowded, busy places. So actually in Singapore, we developed a system and a product set to test at one of the largest hospitals in the country that was really centered around making sure that outpatients who are coming in for checkups didn't have to just spend a lot of time and have potential exposures to COVID and other things inside the hospital. And we all know the experience of being in a hospital and having to just wait endlessly and not knowing when you're going to be there. And a lot of the time, you're just essentially sitting in a waiting room. And hospitals tend to have coffee shops and other places for you to go and be if you know you're going to have a long wait. But how do you communicate that to people? So this particular hospital, they've got a wearable. You get to the hospital, you get the wearable, and then it essentially tells you when and how to get to your appointment, exactly when you need to be there, so that there's zero wait time when it comes to that. And so zero wait times, while it might not be something that directly impacts the the health and well-being in the example that the question was around diabetes, but affecting the overall efficiency of a hospital is something where the entire community health can be impacted by that, because you can see more patients. You can have doctors that don't have the stress necessarily of being kind of having a pile up going on. So really bringing that efficiency to the hospitals, that's something that benefits at a much more macro scale, and that's one of the areas we're helping in healthcare.
When we had you on our show last time, the stock was around 70 cents. Today, you're around $1.75. So it's gone up $1 in a very short period of time. And a lot of our investors are very excited about that. A lot of them are very happy about it. Some of them are frustrated that they missed the opportunity. Some of them may have sold too soon, and now they see the stock going higher. For someone that is learning about TraceSafe for the first time, maybe hasn't invested in your company yet, just learning about it for the first time today, what's your message to those people? What's your message to investors that are learning maybe today for the first time about TraceSafe?
Well, what I would say that I think that there is a bit of a disconnect is that you saw our announcement around a 60,000 person deployment. I think what people don't see in the background is how much time and effort actually goes into making one of those. I don't think they keep records or scores on these sort of things, but I would be very surprised if there was ever a larger wearables order in corporate history than that 60,000 unit one that we deployed. And so that takes a lot of energy and efficiency when it comes to supply chain, from logistics, from the operation standpoint of just deploying, and the touching and sort of understanding of the kind of emerging issues that come up as you deploy at that scale. So these are huge coordination problems, and they're things that spool up over a long time period beforehand. So you're seeing in a news release that comes out, last week, you're seeing the fruits of labor that's really been months and months and months in the making. And we're working on many, many, many different deals like that in the background constantly, that obviously we can't talk about until they're material and they're signed and we're shipping the product. So I would say that, although we see that deal come out, you're not seeing all of the legwork and sort of the effort that's going into the next wave of news that we'll be talking about, in the coming weeks and months. And so I would say that's the big thing that I think people see. Okay, they think that when we get some news out, that's when the work starts. But really, the team has been busy working on that and executing on those deals a lot of times for months prior to them being announceable. So I think that would be one thing. And so I think that people are right to be excited about the opportunities that we've been able to execute so far, and we're going to continue to deliver. And we have a lot of amazing stuff in the pipeline.
Now, one question that just came up in my head is, you guys have really been you're up 600% since November. So the stock is just going crazy for good reason. You guys have a great disruptive product that could potentially save lives all over the world, get people back to sports, get the world back to normal. This is not just a want. This is a need right now in 2021. So knowing that, what's the upside now for an investor? Are you thinking about, hey, wait a second, we've gone up $1 in a couple of weeks. We're up 600% in a couple of months. Maybe now, are you starting to think about maybe a NASDAQ listing or a New York Stock Exchange listing? Is it too soon to think about that? Or is that something that maybe you're thinking about? Because that would create massive exposure for your company. Just put you guys on a completely another level.
Yeah, I think the first stopover point is, I believe we need to get to a $2 US price to consider. There's a NYSE Amex listing that we can consider at that point. And we've been starting those discussions. That's definitely an area we've been thinking about. I know our directors and leadership are always thinking about ways to make sure that the shareholder value is being realized. And I think at the market cap we're at, it's still very much day one. I mean, you do have those big percentage moves, but I think in absolute terms, the company is still very much a very small micro cap company. And when you consider the opportunities and the customer wins they're getting, it would be surprising if it stayed a micro cap for very long. It's really, the company is maturing, the story is maturing. People are finally, there's two things that are really happening. People are realizing, there's a narrative out there, which was, I would say in sort of the latter half of 2020, is that, we're just 2 more weeks out of this pandemic. We're just 2 more weeks, and we're just perpetually 2 weeks away from resolution. And I think in 2021, people are starting to feel like, okay, well, we're going to figure out, there is a very much an end to this, but we're going to figure out how we solve it along the way. And TraceSafe is really becoming a part of that solution. Canada didn't impose any sort of inbound traveler quarantine program until 2021. So that just tells you where we're at. Whereas you look at a country like Hong Kong, they instituted an inbound traveler quarantine program in February, March of 2020, right? So we are on a bit of a time lag. We will get a handle on this. I'm very much an optimist when it comes to this, because the story around TraceSafe and wearables is so much more bullish post-pandemic. Having wearables deployed in the enterprise, it's such a position of advantage to play from, that we can't wait for that to happen. And we think that we have a lot of time to continue the deployment story and really get some of those next generation products together, which we're already hard at working on, and working with customers to address some of those things. I mean, these are going to be very mind-blowing things that we can see come out of our company in the near future.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see what you guys have in store next. Congratulations on all your success. Hopefully the next time you come on our show, you guys go up at least another $1. Every time you come on the show, you guys go up $1. That would be fantastic. Super proud of what you guys are doing, not just as far as the stock is concerned, but on a humanitarian level. I love what you guys are doing. You're not just focused on making money, but you're making a difference. And because of that, that's why I believe this will be a huge success story. And it already has been. Congratulations on all your success, Wayne. And I hope you continue to achieve all of your objectives that you set forth for yourself and for your company. Guys, thank you guys for watching. Remember, Rich TV Live is strictly for education and entertainment purposes. Always do your due diligence. Always do your research before you invest in anything that we talk about here in Rich TV Live. If you like the video, smash the like button, comment down below, share the video everywhere, and subscribe. Take a look at and put TraceSafe TSF on your watch list, put it on your radar. UTOLF in America, TSF in Canada. Thank you, Wayne, for joining us, and hope to have you again on the show soon.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Those of you guys that are watching, if you're not winning, you're not watching. We bring you the winners, and we bring them to you first. We brought you TraceSafe at 70 cents, today at $1.75. Congratulations to everybody. And I think the story is just beginning to be told. Have a nice day, everyone. Thank you, Wayne. Have a nice day, everybody. We'll see you soon.